One of our top stories this morning. Yesterday, Montana Attorney General Tim Fox announced his office has filed a lawsuit in Helena against Purdue Pharma, maker of the opioid painkiller OxyContin.
Our investigation is determined, and the state's complaint alleges that since the late 1990s, Purdue is engaged in deceptive marketing practices designed to manipulate physicians to ensure that their patients are prescribed OxyContin without making those physicians or patients adequately aware of the dangers of the addiction.
Fox outlined some of the specific violations against Purdue Pharma and their marketing of OxyContin.
Misrepresenting the likelihood that long-term use of their drug would lead to addiction. Falsely claiming that use of OxyContin would improve overall health quality and failing to disclose the harmful side effects caused by long-term opioid use. Falsely claiming long-term opioid use is safe and effective, even though they had no evidence to prove it.
Fox said the lawsuit against Purdue Pharma is only the first of many against major opioid drug makers and is asking for unspecified damages to be paid to Montanans suffering from the abuse of OxyContin. The University of Montana notified 30 lecturers last week that their contracts will not be renewed and then quickly rescinded those notices. Faculty Union President Paul Haber told the Missoulian the administration reversed course after learning the union was going to file an unfair labor practice complaint. Communications Director Paula Short said lecturers were told Friday that the notice of non-reappointment had been rescinded, quote, until further notice, end quote. Cutting 30 lecturers could save the university about $1.8 million a year in the short term. UM's trying to cut staff costs in the face of lower enrollment. The faculty union Monday requested that any further changes be handled by incoming President Seth Bodnar, who is expected to start work in mid-January. In August, notified lecturers that their contracts would end in December, but later reversed that decision. Police arrested 3 people Friday at a Missoula home after they followed up on a warrant. Police spokesman Travis Welch says one man, 46-year-old Eric Griffin, is now facing felony charges.
Well, officers became aware of information depicting drug activity occurring in the 1500 block of South Catlin Street. They encountered 3 individuals there, and all 3 were subsequently arrested. The most serious of those offenses was possession of dangerous drugs, which turned out to be cocaine.
The other 2 are each facing 3 misdemeanor charges.
The other 2 were identified as 42-year-old Catherine Sizzler and 39-year-old James Mack. Sizzler and Mack were both arrested for possession of marijuana, a misdemeanor, and drug paraphernalia, as well as 1 count of endangering the welfare of a child, as there was a young boy in the residence at the time of the search warrant.
The boy in the house was only 6 years old. Welch says there's an ongoing investigation to find out the magnitude of the drug activity that had been going on inside that residence. Staff members at a Montana casino say a man found decapitated had warned them of 2 men he feared might harm him. The Billings Gazette reports 41-year-old Myron Wesley Knight allegedly told Lil's casino staff in late October that if anything ever happened to him, Donald Cherry and Jeffrey Haverty would be involved. A few weeks later, police said that Knight's body was found in 2 pieces near a transient camp that he, Cherry, and Haverty were believed to have been at. Cherry and Haverty faced deliberate homicide charges and both had bail set at $500,000. They told police they didn't know how Knight died and were not involved. Casino staff members say on that day Knight warned them. He also asked an employee to hold his $120 in winnings, so neither defendant could steal it. State Insurance Commissioner Matt Rosendale issued a memorandum yesterday stating that direct primary care provider agreements are non-insurance health care options.
Montanans should have as many options on the table as possible to meet their health care needs as they see fit. Direct primary care is yet another way for consumers to access routine, preventative, or preliminary health care. These agreements between patients and their doctors are not insurance products and will not be regulated by my office as insurance.
Rosendale emphasized that President Trump recently issued an executive order to extend the short-term policies from 90 days to 1 year.
The repeal of the individual mandate is part of that tax reduction bill. And if that is able to survive the conference committee between the House and the Senate and the individual mandate is repealed, then we know going forward that there's going to be additional short-term policies which will be extended out to a year, will be available for consumers, yet saving them even more money on their health care costs.
The American Academy of Family Physicians supports a direct primary care model, writing that, quote, direct primary care rewards family physicians for caring for the whole person while reducing the overhead and negative incentives associated with fee-for-service third-party payer billing, end quote. A decision by OPEC to continue cuts to oil production will likely lead to more activity in the Bakken, says petroleum analyst Patrick Dehaan.
OPEC is causing higher oil prices, and that will likely lure more U.S. oil production to the game. In fact, just in the last week, the U.S. rig count, certainly a measure of how many rigs there are drilling for oil, rose again, and that is certainly helping U.S. oil companies. Oil prices will remain high, and that will certainly mean more shale oil coming to the market.
The production cuts started last year. It show up at the gas pumps here in Montana in the form of higher fuel prices.
Gas prices today averaging about $2.60 in Montana. Just a year ago, average price on the state was $2.17. And I would say the entire difference in the higher price this year is because of that OPEC decision a year ago to cut oil production.
Despite the news, gas prices in Montana actually dipped about a penny during the past week. Although prices are currently higher than last year, they are lower than the prices from 2014 and 2013, when gas was about 25 cents per gallon more expensive. And Native American leaders say President Trump's move to drastically shrink a Utah national monument is the president's second insult to Native peoples in a week, and an offense the tribes will unite to fight. A coalition of 5 tribes that spent years pushing for the creation of Bears Ears National Monument said yesterday it will wage a legal battle over the president's plan to reduce the protected area by 85%. Trump announced in a visit to Salt Lake City he would also cut protections at Utah's Grand Staircase National Monument roughly in half. Trump says Utah's lands should not be managed, quote, by distant bureaucrats in Washington, end quote, and said he was reversing federal overreach. Utah's Republican leaders had pushed for Trump's action, saying the monuments closed off the land to energy development and other access. Our News Talk time, 6:12.
News Talk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
We will see mostly cloudy skies for your Tuesday with high temperatures in the low to mid-30s. Tonight will be the coldest night of the week as lows dip to near 10 degrees under mostly clear skies. I'm meteorologist Anthony Franz for Missoula, KECI 13.